We have Miss Gabi, Miss Gabrielle. Today we're doing a wonderful episode on trans identity, and Gabi here is a beautiful Black trans woman, and we're gonna dive into her story and find out more about her. With your identity, how have you navigated through that?
It's been a very long journey for me.
Okay.
Like I said, I've just recently transitioned within the last 2 years.
Okay.
However, I knew that I was trans, maybe like when I was 13, 14 years old. I knew that. However, at that time, I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. I didn't have a great support group to come out as trans or to transition. And so it's been a very, very long journey for me in self-discovery and in finding myself. And then finally, when I did transition, it also has been a lot of self-discovery and finding myself now that I'm presenting as my gender. So it's been difficult, but I will say that in surrounding myself now and having a good core group of people that support and uplift me and affirm me, especially, more importantly, it has made it easier. I came out as a safety blanket for myself as just simply gay, which a lot of us do, a lot of trans people do. And that was like a safe zone for me. And I wasn't supported in that either. It was just difficult, and I had to navigate that on my own.
I think there is this lack of understanding of what transgender is, right? If you identify something other than what you were the sex assigned at birth, then that is considered trans, right?
Yes, correct.
So the misconception, though, is that people think that, oh, okay, well, if you're trans, that means that you've also had like gender affirmation surgery.
And I think that is a perceived notion that, if you are trans, then, you want to go all the way and you want to get affirming surgeries. But that is not the case for, everyone. I can speak to myself and say that, yes, that is a journey that I'm on, that I'm wanting to do for myself. But that means that I want to do that for myself. There are plenty of trans people out here who don't seek be passing.
That's right.
Or still. And I think affirmation surgeries kind of like roll into that, surgeries to your face, or, bottom surgery or top surgery. Those aren't necessarily things that every trans person is looking to or seeking to do. Right. And I think once we kind of like get away from that, we can also get away from the policing of our bodies. And you get on like Bumble or Tinder or things like that, and one of the first questions men usually ask a trans woman like myself is, about what our genitalia is, or have we had surgery, and it's just very like knee-jerking.
Right. It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
Let's not do that.
Or, people that have also met me and they're like, and which is also like knee-jerking and disrespectful, where they're like, oh, well, I didn't know that you were trans, or you're so pretty, like what surgeries have you had?
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, this is all me, baby. This is all me. This is just, HRT and hormone replacement therapy that I've done. This is natural. Yeah. But those things definitely are very problematic. And I think there's a lot of ignorance around in the thought process of, if you're a trans, that you are out here and you want to get affirming surgeries.
That's right.
But that is not the case and not true.
If we can kind of give a list of things that, like an educational list, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 things that we want to educate the masses, the things to do and the things not to do. The respect of the body, the respect of the identity.
Yes.
And I believe the respect of the name.
Respect of the body comes with, again, not policing trans people's bodies.
Okay.
And not, asking those invasive questions about, what surgeries have you had, or what genitalia do you have? Do I think that there is possibly another way to go about that? For me, my biggest thing is it's not your business unless we are being intimate with one another.
That's right.
And also getting out of that thought process of that just because you're trans, that a person is seeking to have these surgeries or have had these certain surgeries that are affirming, and just getting away from that, moving away from that.
And then respect of the identity.
I don't know if you've seen Disclosure on Netflix yet. Have you watched it
yet?
yet?
No.
Okay, so you have to watch it. Okay. In the documentary, they talk about especially a lot of fear that men have in dating trans women, because they identify us still being men, and that's not the case. We are women, and we should be treated as such and looked at as such. So I think, again, getting away from that notion that trans women are men underneath, or that we're tricking someone, or that it's not valid or not true. I think that comes with respect to the identity and just respecting us as women. The way that you would respect a cis woman. I believe that us trans women should be respected as such.
Absolutely. And I want to say, just not just men respecting your gender identity, but also women
too,
respecting that we are sisters, period. And it's an educational thing. We're sisters. We are sisters.
We are sisters.
It doesn't matter if I'm cis and you're trans. We're both women. And we're walking this world as women, and that's how we identify. And I want to encourage men to accept that, and I also want to encourage cisgender men to accept that, and I also want to encourage cisgender women to accept that, accept someone's gender identity.
Because there is a lot of transphobia too, I think, within the Black cis female community as well, and so we need to also focus on that as well, just not with our cis men.
Yeah, we have to learn. And Black, white, Asian, all of us. We have to learn, all of us.
I told you that I am finishing up finalizing my name change to my chosen name, but it has been difficult, in signing documents and legal documents especially, or applying for a job in which I have to use my dead name, which is the name that I was given at birth.
When you choose to still use that previous legal name, that's called deadnaming. And that's something that we don't want to do.
And they do it, we've seen it, with the countless numbers of Black trans women that have been killed. We see that the media does that, unfortunately. They deadname us. And I'm certain that a lot of those women, unfortunately, have not moved. It's a very expensive process to change your name, and it's very tedious. And so, unfortunately, those women probably have not had the opportunity yet to move towards that process. But I do believe that our chosen names, even in the media and just in other things, should be able to be utilized, because that is a part of our identity. So I think that we really need to be diligent and work better, again, to just embrace the full identity of trans people, whether that be, bodies, identity, and our names, our chosen names that we've chosen for ourselves.
That's right. Well, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
So the first term that we have here is a noun. It's trans woman. And that is a transgender person who was assigned male at birth, but whose gender identity is female. See also trans feminine. And so the sentence with that we're using in the dictionary is, I am a trans woman, and I am living my life authentically, beautifully, and expecting all great things to come my way.
All right. How do you feel about that?
I love that, actually. And I identify as a trans woman for sure, as you all can see. My given birth, of course, was male, and now I've made the decision and moved towards, affirming myself in the gender that I am. I actually just recently started using like trans feminine and trans masculine, honestly. I had never used those terms before. But I am a trans feminine person, because of the feminine characteristics that I possess. And I use these terms in my daily life, if I am, especially with visibility now, and letting people know that, yes, I'm a trans feminine person, or either I am a trans woman. So our next word that we have is going to be passing, and that is a verb. And it's describing a transgender individual who is perceived as cisgender. And you can also see clock or stealth that relates to that word as well. And passing is looking cis. Like, I walked into a straight bar after my female feminization surgery and no one blinked an eye. So passing, again, and I call it, me personally, I call it pretty privilege.
Pretty privilege.
I call it pretty privilege. You know, every trans person, especially trans feminine person, does not seek to be passing. You know, and again, that is something that, you know, I just started learning myself in my own journey, and like getting to know more trans people, and finding that, you know, that is a thing. Not everyone wants to pass. Not everyone has to pass.
So you initially thought that to fully affirm your gender that you had to look as cis as possible.
Oh, I did. Now, and that was a part of my ignorance, and of course lack of understanding and lack of people to look up to or talk to, you know, in regards to different people's journeys.
Right.
You know, everyone's journey, especially on the trans journey, is different.
Important to
I will
say.
also say too, which I think is very important to this conversation and this definition and this word in the dictionary, is the fact that some of us, and I know that I did personally, used or wanted to be stealth for safety. If I can pass,
we're gonna go to stealth next.
We're gonna go to that next.
But
yeah.
keep
if I can pass as a cisgender woman, and not be clocked, then that means safety for me. You know, with the violence that happens against trans women, especially Black trans women, that means safety for me. And I think that, you know, that was something that was, you know, my transness was really, really rooted in, especially with me wanting to be passing. But now that it's kind of like shifted, yes, I still want to be passing, but I'm also wanting to be visible in and with that, you know. So yeah, that's very important to note, that a lot of it is due to our safety, our very own safety.
Yeah.
So we have the word stealth, which we kind of like just went over. It is an adjective, and that describes a transgender person moving through daily life passing as cisgender. This individual makes a deliberate choice to not disclose to the public their trans identity. And you can also see passing for that.
You know, of course, when we talk about hate crimes, you know, we, within the queer community, you know, our trans women, our Black trans women are targeted, you know. And I want to continue to figure out what we need to do to educate. And I feel like our conversation, you know, so far is on the road to that.
And I think that comes with visibility. Again, you know, I had to step out of, you know, while I say that I still want to live a passing life, right? You know, where I, you know, look like a cis woman. I have stepped out of that so much in the fact that I want to like live in the shadows. And I've made myself visible, you know, which is very vulnerable for me to do with everything that is happening. But I think it is important, because with more visibility, I think comes more education and understanding. With education, I think that, you know, we can help cis people understand that though there are differences, we are all the same. We're all human at the end of the day. And we should support, uplift, and love each other. I think one of the most important things, or one of the messages that I would give, especially to the younger trans community, or, you know, just anyone, but understand that it is a journey, and it will not be easy, and it will be hard for you. But I think one of the most important things is to love yourself first and foremost. Do the work to understand yourself. If that is affirming yourself, if that is seeking therapy. You know, I just recently restarted therapy, which has been very, very good for me, and helpful. And then also just surrounding yourself. If you don't have, you know, a core group or family that supports you, you know, reaching out to like-minded individuals or getting involved in some type of activity or some type of group, be that online or in your community or in your city, wherever you are, and just finding that support. Support is one of the most important things that I think that trans people need, and a lot of us don't have. I tell people all the time, you know, if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm an open book. I can answer any questions, and I'm willing to answer any questions and have the necessary conversations and keep the momentum going.
That's great.
In order to assist people like me and just assist other people in understanding the trans experience. I will be there for you.
I love it.
Thank you, love. This is perfect.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks you all that are watching and that are seeing this. So yeah.
All right, well, we're signing out.
We're signing out.
All right, peace.